Hey guys, StarCraft here, and I have Ian with me again.
Hello.
And we are going to be talking about the recent solicitations for DC March in 2021, where we'll be out of Future State and going into Infinite Frontier, which kind of fitting when you think about, Infinite everything with DC and New Frontier. They have Disney, not DC, DC Infinite coming out soon. Kind of a fitting name, don't you think?
Yeah, I think it's actually a really good brand synergy.
Exactly. But yeah, for the solicitations, I mean, what have you thought about them so far?
Well, do you want to go through them
Yeah, go
in
through each
order?
one of them. Yep. Well,
Yeah.
let's obviously start with Infinite Frontier number zero. Some people keep calling
AKA
it number
Rebirth
one.
number two.
What?
AKA the second time to do a Rebirth style big one shot to launch a publishing initiative.
True, but at least, but here though, it's much closer to the Marvel now.
That's true. Marvel used to do a bunch of these, and I always hated it because I didn't want to buy the whole thing.
For one specific story.
Yeah, exactly. And I kind of I mentioned this on Purchase stream last night, but I 2 nights ago. But I feel like the same way. I'm excited about the Batman stuff, and I'm excited about um, the Wonder Woman stuff, but I'm not super excited about. Um,
Joker and all that.
well, no, I actually am excited about the Joker story, but that's because it's going to cover James Gordon, who I've been missing for so long.
Mm-hmm. But now, what about, for example, the Stargirl? Do you think that's going to lead into an ongoing, or do you think that's just one little tale Jeff Johns wanted to do?
Um,
It's kind of hard to tell, but given
It is hard
recent,
to tell because Johns and Stargirl are not in any other issues. I personally hope that Johns will be handing the torch to someone else to do a JSA title, but
might be Vendetti,
I mean, that's my ideal world, just because I loved what he did with the JSA in Hawkman.
and I love what he did
Um,
with the Freedom Fighters, which is in a
yeah,
similar ballpark.
right, exactly. Like he can clearly do it. The worry I have is this is going to be another Shazam situation where it's just ridiculously late, multiple artists for no good reason, and the final issue of the run will just be like, here is the plot outline of the next 3 arcs, but I don't have time, so it's all one issue.
True, but I would say though that with now, given all the recent rumors going on and given what happened with Joss Whedon, who knows what's going on? What if Jeff Johns is going to get affected or not?
Well, would that affect the comics?
No, no. I mean, if he ends up losing a lot of his Hollywood stuff, he might crawl back to the comics.
True, true.
Now, do you think? Now, just to get that away, do you think he's being affected, or do you think Joss Whedon was thrown under the bus just for to keep Jeff Johns and John Berg going?
I mean, I think thrown under the bus makes it sound like Whedon didn't do anything, and I feel
Well,
like Whedon
true.
did do things.
True,
So
but I mean, no, they put more emphasis on him getting the brunt of the blame compared to the other two. Because it feels like, here's what I'm thinking. I think Ray Fisher went after Jeff Johns to put pressure on him, saying he really wanted Joss Whedon gone, and I think he went after Jeff so they could be like, it's either Jeff or Whedon.
I, I mean, the
Of course,
thing is,
that will give Fisher way too much credit, but it feels that way.
I feel like there's a lot more specific stuff that people have pointed at Whedon for, and
Mm-hmm.
Whedon clearly has been much sketchier in the past with the way he's behaved.
True.
Um, I mean, everything I hear about Johns is mostly that maybe he's like ambitious and like push things in directions he wanted. And I'm not actually a fan of Johns in those creative decisions, particularly with the big one is Wonder Woman, and a lot of people aren't fully aware of this because Johns didn't write Wonder Woman in the New 52, but he
Nope.
was the one who came up with the new origin.
Because of the
Um,
movie.
well, no, it was in the New 52 where instead of being born
Yeah,
of
I know about
clay,
that, but
he
they
was
had to have had the
Zeus's
movie in
daughter.
mind beforehand.
Yeah, most people think that was Azzarello, but it was actually Johns' decision that Azzarello executed.
Well, yeah, but I think because Azrael did such embraced it so heartily, and you couldn't tell, I think is why.
Yeah, I mean, I have my own complaints about Azzarello, specifically about the Killing Joke movie and the
Uh,
way he
now
handles
that
most
one,
female
I don't
characters.
blame. I don't blame him entirely for the Killing Joke movie. I think that was more Bruce Timm
Well, the
giving
way
him a
he
bullet
acted
points of
towards
what to
fans
do.
during the screenings was what I'm talking about.
Oh,
He was just
right.
very aggressive and rude.
Oh, true.
But yeah, I mean, I hope that Johns is passing the torch with Stargirl to a new JSA team. Because I just don't think that his heart's in comics right now. I don't think he can keep a regular schedule, and that's death to any title. That you know,
True, but I think he's so protective of Stargirl. I don't know.
well, and I'm not saying that he shouldn't be, but he can be involved. He can, I mean, Stargirl doesn't have to be on the JSA.
Right. But now different question. Oh, yeah, did I get cut off?
No, you're still there.
Sorry. Okay. Some different question. I just saw Nerdette stopping by to say hello, and since before we continue on with the solicitations, I got to ask you this: where do you stand on the casting with Cyclone?
Um,
Because I'm of two minds. I'll be honest. I'm of the like maybe, but at the same time, it's just like another redhead being replaced and all that. It's like what now is becoming a joke.
so here's sort of my thought. I don't like changing the race of a character, whether you're changing a black character into a white character or a white character into a black character or a Hispanic character. I have some inconsistency here though, because I really love Jason Momoa as Aquaman, and that
Oh
is
yeah,
not the comics version.
or
Um,
Michael Clark Duncan as Kingpin.
I mean, that was just such a bad movie. I mean, he's a good actor and he's good in the part, but the movie's so bad that
I say if you see the director's cut, it salvages it.
ish. It's still over the top in a way I don't think really helps the material. But I don't know. I'm kind of more
Right,
into
but I'm
the
just throwing out another example of an actor who did good with the role, even though he didn't match the
right.
race.
And I think it can work. I think that it's indicative of a desire, of a very cynical desire to want to take advantage of fandom for a character, as well as push. I don't want to say diversity because I think that diversity is good, but I feel like if you really wanted to go for diversity, you would do something like make a Black Lightning movie or make Black Lightning part of the JSA or
Right,
like
or
there are
yeah,
these characters, but there's that cynicism of wanting to use the better known character. Although Red Cyclone's not a well known character, so I don't understand
or
why they had to use her
I know.
instead of Vixen or someone.
Exactly. Why did it have to be her? And why did they have to? Well, they cast her with someone who's non-binary. They never specified if the character is going to be non-binary or not. Chances are they're going to. And it's just, but again, the fact is they've gotten to a point now where you have people celebrating when they get rid of another redhead, another ginger. It's like, what's
Well,
with
it's not just gingers; it's white people in general.
Oh no,
And
I know, but the gingers specifically get the most celebration.
yeah, I saw that article, but I need to go through because I feel like there's more going on than just red-haired characters. Because as you pointed out, there's Kingpin, who's not red-haired, and
Right, but of course he's been white now ever since in the Netflix series.
the Netflix series, yeah. And I just think that I want a world where we celebrate black characters and Asian characters. And here's my particular thing: I'm half white, half Asian, or Hapa as we call it, and I'm really irritated that they keep casting full Asian actresses as half Asian characters, like Ravager in Titan.
Yeah, Ravager. They're to bring her up.
Because here's the thing: we don't look like full-blooded Asian people. We look different.
Nope. And that was the only thing about Rose. She was all wait. And now remind me, what nationality is she?
Well, Slade's kind of like white bread American dude, and then
Right.
I think originally she was, I want to say, Cambodian or
I think they still keep it that way. I think
no,
Priest brought that back.
she's Hmong now. So Priest changed her in Rebirth to be Hmong because he wanted to make a more specific statement about the Hmong people as allies in the Vietnam War, which there's a big Hmong population where I live, and Priest actually talked about that. He set a big chunk of his Deathstroke arc for Rose in Minnesota with the Hmong people.
Right.
So I thought that was really cool, and it was really researched. So I liked that, where you make the ethnicity, it's not just a surface level thing. And that's my biggest problem with a lot of these race changes, is they make it a surface level thing. And I think that, race changes the way you look at it. I mean, the whole principle of intersectionality is that your perspective is different. And if you can just change the race of a character and nothing else changes, you're not being a careful writer. You're not being thoughtful about what you're doing with race. And I think that even though I'm not an intersectionalist, I think you should be thoughtful. And this doesn't feel thoughtful to me.
Exactly. It's like I've said before. And granted, this was before we got Miles, of course, but you could never just make Peter Parker just black and yet have the same impact with what happened with Uncle Ben. Right. I hate to say that. I hate to be a stereotype, or be stereotypical, but it's like Uncle Ben getting shot. I hate to say it. It's not as impactful if he was black compared to being white.
And if you look at the best ways that they handle Miles, and I don't hate comics Miles, but I think that the Insomniac PS4 game and the movie Into the Spider-Verse handled Miles better than the comics did. They have his uncle in the movie, and that's a very powerful scene because they establish that relationship, and it pays attention. Before
they revealed he was Prowler, and he was at least, unlike the comics, he was at least more reasonable, and right. It's like, no, he loved his nephew, whereas in the comics,
yeah, that's why I said I think it's handled better in the movie. And then in the video game, unfortunately, they kill off his dad, but that's a very powerful moment because you've come to love his dad.
Right.
So I think both of those, and honestly, even though I don't like it as much, I think Bendis did pay attention to race in a thoughtful way with Miles. And that's the way you should do it. You shouldn't just take a character and change them for the movie and they're exactly the same. Like, that's the frustrating part to me, is they're not being very thoughtful.
And I would say that Heimdall in Thor, that was all right because it wasn't addressed. They got a great actor, happened to be black, but he still commanded what Heimdall deserved.
I still want Idris Elba to be Jon Stewart. Come on.
Oh yeah. Oh, hell yeah. Hell yes. He would be perfect for Jon Stewart. So, okay, but back on topic now.
All right.
So, I'm going off of, first of all, back to the Infinite Frontier. What do you think the main, what's the word I'm looking for? The bookend storylines, what do you think that's going to be, since it has multiple writers working on that one?
The Generations one with...
No. I'm talking about in Infinite Frontier. There's supposed to be, Joshua Williamson and James Tynion are working on the, what goes in between each story.
I don't know. I mean, I guess it'll probably be similar to what they did in Last Stories, where, they have a framing device, but I really
that's what I was looking for, framing device.
Yeah, I really don't know what the mission statement for Infinite Frontier is. Like, they've kept it kind of under wraps.
Right. Well,
so before it'll be interesting.
I will say this, and I wanted to say this on Purchase stream, but my mic kept acting up. But I personally feel that the whole point of Death Metal in the end is to, through a story reason, in-universe reason, get us back to the infinite possibilities that existed pre-Crisis, where you could have a bunch of ongoing stories going on, but then you could stop in the middle of it and have this one story that basically says, what's this? Why is this happening here and not what we went off with? Well, we're taking a moment to get the pause off and do this story on another Earth or something like that. And then you'd be able to move on and all that. Now, I'm not saying that's what they're going to be doing here over all this, but you had that infinite possibility that ever since Crisis, they kept limited. No matter what, even if they brought back the multiverse, they still kept it limited. They still kept it. When Grant Morrison, he specified so many Earths that gave us so many possibilities and left a few Earths, for someone else to redefine. It was still limited. But this, with the Omniverse or Infinite Frontiers, they're bringing back everything, that any possibility you can do whatever Earth you want. Now, will they utilize it all? Not likely, but basically the toy box has been obliterated and all the toys are strewn out. Pick whatever you want.
And I think it's really going to depend on the creators. I still really like what Tom King did, where he used both Batman #1 from 1940 and Year One as
Oh
new
yeah, their argument with Catwoman on it was on the street, it was on a boat.
right, and that firmly places both of those issues in this continuity, even though they're separated by so many different reboots.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's the kind of thing I want to see. I don't want them to try and make everything fit precisely. I just want them to reference so we know that there's more history than just back to 2016, 2011, 1986.
Yep.
It goes all the way back.
Now, here's a big question to ask: was do you? Because I remember once, given some dialogue that was in that annual, the annual where you had them one of their earlier encounters, and then them in the future when Batman died. He said he was trying to tell her to have Flash take you to another Earth where I exist and all that. And I think that Tom King had hinted off at one point to saying that this story was, at least that future story, was on another Earth. Do you think that still applies, or do you think that this is still what we're seeing in Batman Catwoman?
I mean, I always look at any future as being, like Yoda says, always in motion. I don't think that we can ever say, and Jeff Thorne mentioned this in his interview with Perch about how his future state story is clearly connected to his run, but it's not determined. It depends on both how he's feeling as he's writing it and how readers and editorial feel. If editorial and readers are really liking it, then maybe he'll bump things up and make the connections to the future state story clearer. If they aren't really liking it, then maybe he'll veer away, and that tension will be part of the excitement of the story. I'd say the same thing sort of happens with Tom King. Now, he doesn't have anything in continuity right now, but he does have connections to what he's written previously.
Yep.
So I think that whatever he's writing is clearly going to be in continuity to what he's written. Whether or not it's in continuity to what Tynan's writing or what Tamaki's writing in Detective Comics is really irrelevant. Just like it's irrelevant what's happening in Batman Beyond. I kind of view it in the same way.
All right. Well, moving on then, we're getting the return of the anthology books with Batman Urban Legends. Now, I'll be honest, I'm one of those who's actually grateful for having these anthologies or having backup stories to explain the price points and all this stuff. I think this is going to be good. This is going to be a case where they can have a smaller print run, but more bang for your buck in the book.
Yeah, this feels very much like what they've been trying to figure out with the Walmart anthologies and the holiday quarterly stories. And I'm really curious to know how long these stories are going to be, because it's 64 pages. So technically, you could have 3 20-page stories in there. I don't think they'll have 3 20-page stories, but I'm hoping they'll be a bit beefier than just like 8-page stories, which are what you get in the holiday stories. And what I really like is that you'll have some one-shots, but you also have stories that have multiple parts. So like Chip Zdarsky's Red Hood story is 6 parts. So there's 6 months. And you'll have that reason to be subscribed for those 6 months. And then you'll also have these other stories going in and out. I think that is really the way to go, because this is similar to what they did sometimes in Batman Chronicles back in the 90s, where you had 2 regular writers, Chuck Dixon and Doug Mensch. How do you say it?
Moink.
Doug Moink. Like, those were the main writers, and then they'd have other writers cycle in and out. So you'd have, John Ostrander and Kim Yale on one issue, and then one Denny O'Neil, and then you'll have like a new writer do it. So you'll have some consistency that keeps you subscribed, but you also have new talent and new ideas and new stories cycling in. So I think Urban Legends is a really good idea. I have to admit, though, none of this stuff really makes me excited enough to try this one myself, because I'm buying both Joker and Batman. So that's $10 a month on Batman comics.
Right. But who knows?
We'll see. If the buzz is good, then I might give in.
Right. Now, of course, we have, like I said before, the Joker series, which is an ongoing. I am curious by how that's going to go.
Well, and Tynan said Ben Abernathy and the editorial really pitched this to him. So no one said this specifically, but I think that the idea is Batman and Wonder Woman and Superman. Well, not Superman, that already. Flash. Those are all going back to once a month, but they really don't want to lose the extra sales that came with two Batmans a month because Batman was still selling really well, even though it was twice a month. So they wanted to get two hits of Batman numbers a month, and that means they want to have something that isn't just another Batman title because that dilutes the brand. Joker is their next best bet in terms of sales, and I think that clearly Joker War proves that because that really bumped sales up.
Mm-hmm.
So I look at Joker as being their replacement for Batman shipping twice a month.
Makes sense, and you're keeping Tinian on it still.
Right, exactly. And he's also doing what I thought they should have done with the original Punchline shot and made the Punchline storyline backups, because I think that really would have been better. Because you can do things like be mostly moody or really developing world building in backups that you can't really do if you're. I just feel like the one shot had no real plot. It was just like
It was
30
set up.
pages
It
of
was
kind of-
set up.
Yeah, it was 30 pages of setup, and I wasn't super excited about that.
I gotta say, I'm glad they're bringing Harper back. I thought she had potential.
Yeah, I'm not hating on Harper, and I'm glad she's going to be in the backups. But I think that the backups are nice. I just think this is the way to go. I'm excited about this format.
Right. Now, with Harley Quinn, Stephanie Phillips, I think, has great potential, but I'm not a fan of Riley Rossmo's artwork at all.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same way. I really like Stephanie Phillips' short story about Red Tornado in the DC Cybernetic Summer this summer.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And she seems like a cool person on her social media.
Which I've noticed is a trend with a lot of the new writers. A lot of them are not the full of themselves. I'm in this for a specific, goal.
Right. Now, I will say that Rossmo can be good. And I think that
He can be, but I mean, like the Batman Shadow crossover.
right. I'm just worried that I don't know. We'll have to really wait and see because Harley's really hit or miss for me. I really loved the last creative team of Sam Humphries and Sammy Basri. I thought they were awesome.
I thought they got good at the end, but I think they had some stuff that just felt a bit too serious at times.
Well, I liked that because I feel like the Connor Palmiotti stuff was too unserious. Like, I never felt like there were stakes, whereas Humphries really had stakes.
Oh, it did, yeah. But I will say this, though, with Riley, given how he's already drawn Harley before and how he's going to all the stuff he's showing of how he's currently going to draw her, yeah, I'm not feeling it. It just feels like, I don't know, just when you think Harley, you think sexy.
Yeah, Rossmo is not someone I'd go for sexy, but
yeah, I feel like he's gotten so much of a groove because he's a fast artist. He chugs things out.
He's very consistent, and I think he probably just has really good relationships with a lot of, the writers. I mean, obviously he's got a great relationship with Tynan from when he did Constantine.
He did that whole 12 issues of Martian Manhunter that got out on time.
Yeah, that's actually really impressive.
Yep. I'm so surprised Shane Davis got Metal Man out.
Yep. So I will give Harley a chance, but it's not one that's like at the top of my excitement list, definitely.
Right.
And I do want to take a moment to say I like this Infinite Frontier thing. It's not as big as Rebirth, so people won't complain as much about the curtain on the top, but it's still very clearly a brand.
Oh, you mean the banner?
Well, it's just like a corner tab, like DC and then Infinite Frontier, and it's like a little teardrop going sideways. And I think that's really good branding, and that's what I think they really need for this.
Right. Interesting thing I just found out about the writer for our next book, Crime Syndicate, Andy Schmidt. That's the guy who was the editor on Secret War, and that was the Bendis one, and the Annihilation event.
Wait. Are we talking about Secret Empire?
No, 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 no. Secret War. That was the event that had
The
Nick
Doctor
Fury.
Doom,
What?
the Doctor Doom Jonathan Hickman event?
No, no. This is the one. I'm trying to tell you what it is. This is the one where by the end of it all, Nick Fury is out of Shield. This is the one from
the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Oh, that was weird.
It was weird, but he was the editor of that and the first Annihilation event.
Okay.
So this guy is,
So has he done much solo writing?
Yeah, he has done a couple of writings so here and there so far, at least a selected few that I've seen. Like, he wrote the Star Trek II Wrath of Khan adaptation.
Huh.
Take that for what you will.
Huh. Okay.
Yep. Oh, he also edited the initial G.I. Joe revival, the first one, the one that in 2008 when IDW got the rights.
Okay. Do you know anything about Kieran McCohen, the artist?
The name rings a bell, but I gotta say though, with this whole crime syndicate, that's one thing I loved about that one story during one of the one shots. I forget which one, but I think it was the Multiverse, the last one. I think it's the one where we had Owlman and all that, and now basically that was the first time we actually finally had it spelled out for us. Each time Earth 3 is destroyed, because it's such a good idea, it's always reborn.
Yeah. I think the idea of an evil Justice League is just too fun for people to get rid of.
Exactly. By the way,
I have to admit, though, I mean, this is just such an unknown, both the artist and the writer.
The artist apparently did artwork for issue number 82. That was one of the Year of the Villain issues of Wonder Woman.
I only started reading Wonder Woman again when Tamaki got on the
No, this was Orlando's run. And I remember that issue. It wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad, but I expect a bit more from Wonder Woman.
Well, yeah, obviously. Now, apparently he is a person who is kind of been praised by people like Liam Sharp.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Yeah. I think. I could be mixing up. I'm just looking through some of the Google search, so it could be mixing up, different parts of the site.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to try to find another example of his artwork, but there's a Pinterest one. I don't know if that's the same person. Can't tell. Oh, well. But yeah, I mean, obviously we're going by a Jim Chung cover, so it's hard to tell. I mean, I love that, but I'm not a fan of Johnny Quick's outfit. You know what I mean? It looks a little weird, and when I saw the alternate cover, it definitely is like, why is his color greenish?
Well, is he even wearing anything, or is he naked on the top?
I think he's wearing something. Given how you see the lightning bolts on when you see the variant cover.
Though.
When you what?
Could be tattoos, though.
No, because if you look at the variant cover, that lightning actually is sticking off his head.
Well, that could be part of his goggles. I'm thinking about the stuff on his shoulders.
Oh, good point. It's hard to tell.
I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see what the interior art looks like on him. But there was someone who was saying that he was nude, and I was like, "The Flash is a flasher."
But I will say though,
I thought it was funny.
I will say though, I do love the idea that they're taking the opportunity that because they were just killed off again, that we're building them up from scratch this time, as opposed to all the other times where they just jump right in the middle of them already existing.
Yeah, that's cool.
Especially like what Bendis did. Good God, that was so confusing. It's like Bendis brings them back, but we're like, but they were killed off literally not that long ago.
Yeah.
This was before they set up that they were guaranteed to come back, but it was just annoying. But that is one of the things I will give props for Death Metal. It is clarifying issues that have always been around for a while. Like, wait, we saw these worlds got destroyed during Convergence. How are they back? Oh, because the multiverse naturally will repair these things.
Well, and that means that it's nice if they can figure out how to win against Batman Who Laughs and Perpetua. The
Well,
idea of
she's
a
dead now.
reset.
Well, she's dead now.
Is that what was implied? I was confused.
I think she was, given how she was covered in the source wall rock and he smashed her. I think she's dead.
Okay. But I mean, death on this kind of cosmic level being seems like it's a different thing than normal death.
Well, yeah. It was also a cheap way for her to go out. I'm sorry. I mean, it was smart on the Batman Who
I
Laughs
mean, you don't
part.
have to apologize to me. I'm not a metal fan.
Oh. Now, next on our well, first of all, was Crime Syndicate. And now, granted, it's only a 6-issue mini, but what do you think? Are you looking forward to it?
No, not really. But this is I'm not usually a Justice League person, so Evil Justice League is just sort of like the same.
All right. Now, next is Suicide Squad. I'm going to get the first issue at least just to see, but I don't know.
This is gonna be odd because Peacemaker obviously is movie synergy. Amanda Waller's back, so that's I think a good thing. You've got Talon, which I actually think is a really smart idea. He's perfect for the squad. And then Superboy. So the question is this
Now,
John
which
or Con?
Superboy? I was going to say, which
Right.
Superboy?
Which Superboy is the question.
Yep. And
I'm
also
a big
you have
fan of Eduardo Pansica on art, so
Oh,
that's
yeah.
cool.
But Robbie Thompson, best known for doing Supernatural. I mean, the only other thing he's really done, really, as far as comics, was he helped out near the end of Teen Titans.
Yeah, a lot of people are mad at him for that, but I'm like, Thompson was handed that situation.
I agree. He was handed that to do those last from 39 onward. I do not blame him.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he was just given the marching orders and had to execute it.
And like, he was given a bad place already, and then he was told, "You got to get to this point anyway."
Exactly. So I think it could be good. I don't know if I've talked to you about this, but I honestly feel like the Suicide Squad was very much a late 80s, early 90s concept, and I don't think they've done a good enough job updating it. I mean, Taylor tried to update it, but the way he chose to update it, I was annoyed with because I don't like activists. Which is what his
it's not as bad as others would have done it. Let's be fair. Others would have done it worse.
No, absolutely. He executed his vision and it was coherent. I just don't like that vision, you know?
Oh, and I completely agree with you.
It just wasn't for me.
Right. Now a quick thing with Teen Titans. What did you think about that whole book? Post No Justice onward.
I mean, I dipped in and out, so I can't say as a whole. I liked the idea of what Adam Glass started with Damian really struggling with his dark side. Now, the thing is, I don't understand why they had to push it that far. I think he could have had, a moment where he really came to realize that he'd gone too far after Red Arrow killed Deathstroke, in the Terminus agenda.
Right.
Like that could have been a turning point and he could have, changed to stop doing that. But instead, for some reason, they decided to keep going with that. And that's the really puzzling thing for me. I
would have accepted it if he started to get better, but then around the time of City of Bane, when what happened to Alfred, that's what they indicate, that's when things went downhill, which that I did not mind. That made one of the most sense, you ask me.
Yeah, I mean, that's, playing with all the other people.
Exactly, but the fact that it took so long after that moment to finally make it clear that's what caused it, you kind of call bullshit then on it.
Yeah, it's just kind of...
Like, you should have done it, you should have revealed that sooner. But overall, though, I think... Well, for one thing, I still like some of the newer, Roundhouse and Crush. I like those characters. I think
those new characters have gotten some fans going on.
Especially Crush. And one thing I like about her is she's a lesbian, but that's not her dominant trait at all.
Right, exactly. She's just a character who happens to have that sexuality.
Exactly. And even then, she's not banging everything that moves like her old man would.
Yep.
No, she's specific, and that was Jin.
So tragic.
Oh, definitely so tragic. And Roundhouse, I'm surprised. I found him endearing.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Glass really did something. Like I originally I was like, he's creating all these secondary characters that are
Or he's bringing in other characters that remember haven't done much anyway, like with Red Arrow.
right. But like I feel like he and Thompson really kind of made those characters not fan favorites, but fan affection. Like people like them. And
Oh
I think
yeah,
that's
and again with Crush, I still want to know what her story is.
yeah, exactly.
It's not one of those cases where you're like, oh, what's this mystery? Don't care. No, I want to know. I still love that annual where and all the first annual where we found out a bit about her story.
Right. And I think that's the way it should go.
Yeah, because I still want to know like who's her mom. That's we never got. Even when Lobo showed up, I have to wonder did Glass have it planned out, but they told him no. I mean, what do you think?
I don't know enough about Lobo.
The only thing I could say of it is if it wasn't for the fact that she's only half Zarian, I would have said, just bring back that female Zarian that Rob Liefeld created during his Deathstroke run and let's just be done with it.
Yeah.
But okay, but next we have Superman Red and Blue. Basically Superman's version of Black and White or Black, White, and Red.
This one, I have to say, I'm a little disappointed in. I was hoping we'd get another, like an urban legend. So, like Streets of Metropolis or something, where you could do things similar to what they did with like the Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen series, but instead of being their own ongoing, it could be a rotating anthology with 3 stories that change and stuff. I was hoping for something like that for Superman, to really flesh out his world. I feel like these Black and White or Red and Blue or Black, White, and Red stories for Harley, they tend to be a little too spec script. So in television, there's this thing where you write a script on spec that's basically an audition to get into a TV writer's room.
Oh, yeah.
And all of these comics feel like they're a spec script to get onto an ongoing title. I would rather someone just tell a really cool story, and I would prefer it to be in continuity because that means that it would actually add to the legend. But what I'm seeing in Black and White and Black, White, and Red, and what I'm expecting to see in Blue and Red is just sort of alternate universe takes that don't matter. And I think that's disappointing. The first issue of Black and White, I thought was... It only had 2 stories that I even enjoyed reading. Well, no, okay. It had 3
I
stories
like the Killer Croc one.
Yeah, the Croc story, the Tynan story about the assassin who gets to punch Batman once. I thought that was kind of funny. And I liked the way that Dini added to the mythology of Grant Morrison's Ninja Man-Bats.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But I think that, importantly, each of those actually plays with an in-continuity character. A lot of these things are like in the Harley series, particularly, you have like Harley in a band or Harley as celebrity, and it's like
I would say the first one though that was basically a follow up to Harleen was the best one.
Well, but that's what I'm saying is that was an ongoing connected to something else. What I really think these anthologies need is connections to other things. Like they should be satisfying on their own, but they should also prompt people to want to know more. And I am in favor of having like an editor's note at the end saying, "Want to know more about Red Tornado? Read this graphic novel." Like I think they should serve as hook points for unknown characters and point you either to something that's going on now or to their back catalog so they can get some trade sales.
Like an anthology, what should do?
Right. That's what I'm saying. I feel like there should be connections. I feel like too many of these are too standalone. They're not connected to something else that you can really explore further.
Right.
So now next on, Blue and Red.
Right.
Well, I do want to say that the covers by Gary Frank and Lee Bermejo are amazing. They're really good.
Yeah. And I think I'm at least grateful that Gary Frank has gotten away from tracing over Christopher Reeve. That got so annoying and creepy, especially when he drew young Clark Kent. It was basically Let's put Christopher Reeve's head on a kid's body. You remember
Hairspray
that?
children are always real creepy.
You remember that?
Yep. Oh boy.
I think that was at the point where he also had to be, let's have people look like crack addicts sometimes. But anyway, next is The Swamp Thing, which is going to be a 10-issue maxi series. Where do you stand on that one?
I'm not into the horror side. I think Ram V's a really good writer, but I mean, I think James Tynion's a really good writer too, and I don't read most of his horror stuff either. So I think it's cool. I think there's clearly a lot of Swamp Thing fans, and I'm glad they've got this title, but I don't really have.
What about replacing Alec Holland?
Are they replacing him?
That's what's implied that they're going off of Future State.
I'd be really surprised if it lasts. I think that Swamp Thing is so connected to Alec. I mean, even in the TV show, that it feels unlikely that they'll push something that actually replaces him. They might add to it, but I mean, if you look at Endless Winter, I don't think that Alec is the Swamp Thing in the past section. So I think there's room for other Swamp Things. I just don't think that Alec will permanently be replaced.
What do you think? What do you think about the fact that it's become more and more clear now that Endless Winter's setting up a lot of these Infinite Frontier stories? Did that surprise you at all?
Well, what do you see setting up? I mean, Hippolyta, sure.
Hippolyta and Black Adam, the stuff with Swamp Thing, because it's apparently, I haven't finished it, but I heard he dies during one of the present day stuff in the recent issues. The Teen Titans, Titans Academy, one of the characters that's in there is introduced in Endless Winter.
I think that's clever. I think I really wish that they were being clearer about these things, because they've been really clear that the Batman office has been setting up things for both Future State and DC Infinite. Yep. They have not been clear that Endless Winter is setting up things for DC Infinite. I think that would be a much better choice, because that means you can consolidate your marketing. I mean, so much of this is marketing, and I feel like they haven't marketed Endless Winter well at all. It's a perfectly decent story, but it's not like, people are like, oh man, I can just skip it because it's not connected to anything. It doesn't matter. And I'm like, maybe it does though now, but nobody knew about that until these solicits dropped. So like, we're halfway through the event already, and now you can market it. But I feel like they should have marketed it as, this contains seeds for DC's March plans or something.
True, but I think, for example, the Hippolyta one would have been too much of a reveal for what's clearly going on with Death Metal.
That's true. That's true. That's its own whole thing, but I guess we'll have to do another stream about Wonder Woman back in January.
Yep, but now next is Teen Titans Academy. First of all, Red X, are going to be a completely original character, or do you think it's Clown Hunter?
I like the idea that it's Clown Hunter.
Given the X on his mask, it looks just like Clown Hunter's.
Right. I think that would be cool.
Do you think they're going to do that, or do you think they're going to pull an Arkham Knight and have him be an original character?
Oh, geez. I would much rather it be Clown Hunter, because I think that I think Arkham Knight was terrible. That
being his daughter.
Character, it makes no sense. Like, okay, so she hates Batman because her mother was killed by an Arkham inmate using a batarang. That means the criminals told her she never saw the footage, and Jeremiah basically just kept feeding into it. He's like, I didn't correct her. But like, okay, so that means either this girl is like 15 at most, and she's already like the world's best fighter and cult leader ever, or Batman's like 25 years into his career. Like, it makes no sense whatsoever.
I know.
Like, either way, it does not make sense.
Tomasi, he tried. He really tried.
That storyline was one of the weakest of the run, and it's not been the strongest run.
I gotta say though, I prefer the with Nora Freeze's stuff.
Yeah, that actually
That
had
was
a
a
clever
twist. That
swerve.
was a twist I did not see coming. But when you think
Right,
about it, we've never gotten her characterization ever.
right.
The closest we ever got to fully realizing her was at the very end of Arkham Knight.
So I think that this is a good. I think that was a good idea. I just kind of wish it had been followed up. I mean, one of the biggest problems with this tech run is that nothing's connected to anything else. Arkham Knight was never followed up on.
Technically, Two-Face was him carrying over what he did with him in Batman and Robin.
I suppose, but that's so long ago, and nobody really liked that arc.
Yeah, but we can remember though, they played it up because he had a bullet in his brain.
Yeah.
But again, I thought the Freeze one was probably the best arc of his recent run. Just because of, again, it did something new.
Yeah, I agree.
But now, what do you think about this idea of, that's all we're getting Teen Titans is this Academy-style story?
Well, I mean, I think based on what Perch said and based on what we know, I mean, we know that we're getting a Green Lantern book in April, almost certainly.
Yep. Before we go further, what do you think about so many of these other YouTube channels saying they've cut the line, it's so much smaller, they're going to be canceled, when it's like, no, this is the first wave. Where do you stand? Do you think that's clearly intent on their part, or what?
I think they're kind of botching this launch.
Well, I'm not talking about DC, I'm talking about the YouTubers.
Oh, well, the YouTubers are clearly wrong. I mean, we know that there's more titles. That's just dumb. I think, so let's think back to Rebirth, which is everybody's favorite launch, and I think for a good reason. Is because they told us basically 3 full months of what was coming. They didn't give full solicitations, but they told us the titles, they told us creative teams, and they gave some idea of what was going on for 3 months. This only gives us 1 month, and even though they're saying in interviews, yes, we're going to have more, I think they should announce the more now, even if they don't give full solicitations. So I think that we're going to get some kind of either Young Justice or Teen Titans or all of them. But I think that Teen Titans Academy is a really good idea.
Yep, I agree, and I think it has potential. Although the fact they're having Shazam being part of it as well, that one kind of gets me. I'm like, why Shazam?
Well, which Shazam though? Is it Billy? It could be like Freddy or Darla.
But they never specify which one. Yeah, because that's probably the one thing with Jeff Johns and Shazam. We've only known about the Shazam family, but they never each, except for Mary, got their own individual, names.
Right. Well, no, they have their names. It's Darla.
Well, no, but their real names. I'm talking about a superhero name.
Oh, right. They're all some version of Shazam.
Yeah, exactly. Again, except for Mary.
Right.
But next is Superman in Action Comics with Philip Kennedy Johnson taking over. One, I think that's a great choice.
I think it's a great choice. I'm still irritated that it's just one for both books. I think that, like Batman, you should give multiple flavors so that if someone doesn't like your main Superman book, they can buy Action.
Yep, I agree with that.
And honestly, we can't really get a sense of what he's going to do because his first issue of Superman and his first Action are a 2-part arc that sort of
feels
sell
like he's
the book to us.
And it feels like he's picking up where Bendis left off.
And I mean, okay, so I'm not a hater of Bendis. I mean, a lot of people
but his
are.
Superman though has been. Look, I'm more accepting of a lot of his other work, but his Superman has been so infuriating.
Are you talking about his whole Superman work or just the title Superman?
No, his whole work, even Action as well.
I really like Action. I really liked.
I hated how he basically decided to be Leviathan is better than Apex Lex, period, because he said so.
Well, I think Apex Lex is stupid, so I don't mind that.
The way it was done, it was so much.
Sure.
It was so much of Bendis being like, "Screw you, Scott! I'm the better one, and I'm gonna just doing what he did at Marvel, basically saying, I don't like what this creator is gonna do. I'm gonna take the piss out of it because I'm that petty."
I mean, he does do that, and
that was one of the worst cases.
Event Leviathan, but I do think that the lead up to Leviathan was really good, and
the lead up was fine. The lead up was good mystery, but then when it played out itself,
Yeah, that
Ugh,
was so disappointing.
it
Um,
was. And then again, the fact that he played up with it afterwards, but then decided to use it as saying Leviathan's better, cause.
but I don't know. I think I
And
don't mind that he's
what he did
following
was,
up.
I'll say this, what he also did with the Legion, inexcusable. I'm sorry. I've said it before, but I hated how he had it be because Johnson came just suggested, let's make a United Nations on space. That all of a sudden now the Legion is saying, we want you, Jonathan. We don't care about your dad. You're the real Superman because you made a suggestion at this point in time. It's like, that's not, Superman
Which
does
is the
all the
same
work.
suggestion that his dad is making in the Superman title with the League of Planets or whatever it was.
Yeah, but again, that was because they're all in it because Johnson made the suggestion. So Superman doesn't count. Everything he's done, it's moot because Johnson's the one who came up with the idea.
So my take on Legion is more of an outsider. I've never really read Legion before, but I think that it's really boring the way that Bendis wrote it.
Oh,
And
beyond boring.
And I think it's really disappointing because I actually really liked Millennium, the 2-issue series that led into Legion. I thought that was actually
I
really
liked how
cool.
it actually connected all of these different futures in a consistent timeline.
Yeah, and his voice for Rose and Thorn really had an emotional moment to it. Like when she reaches the Legion, like there's this emotional relief you get because she's finally there. Like I thought that was a really well written 2-issue series, and then the real series was just kind of boring.
Yeah, but
Except I did kind of like the issue where he had one artist per page. Like that was kind of a fun little.
that was a 2-issue story.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Right. The two
on
issues.
on its own, it was fine, but the story itself was not.
Right, but like I got a sense as an outsider of who the characters were, and it was like this fun putting things together sort of storyline. And so, yeah, overall, Legion super boring. But
Yeah, but again, the way
there were
he's
some bright
ruined that,
spots
but the
in
way
it.
he's ruined their connection with Superman for the dumbest of reasons. I'm sorry, there's no getting around it. It was
Well,
just
I mean,
Superman does all the work, and Jonathan, because he suggested it, the Legion is like, screw your dad, you're the real star.
um,
That's how it was.
yeah, sure, but I'm just thinking sort of like one of the reasons people are mad at Bendis is because he took, the Tomasi and Jurgen status quo and kind of threw it away. And so,
And just made John a generic teen kid, angsty teen kid.
right. So I think that Johnson,
I think Johnson might figure into fixing the characterization, actually
right,
give him a personality.
right. Now, a lot of Superman fans, especially Super Sons fans, were just really in despair that Philip Kennedy Johnson and DC weren't instantly erasing everything Bendis
I did
did for last
I
year.
did not expect that.
And I just think that's unrealistic thinking. You're not going to do that.
No, the only thing you can do is mitigate the damage.
And tell the best story you can and build your own status quo. And I feel like that's what he's going to do.
I think so as well. And fingers crossed, I might be able to get an interview with the guy. I just sent him an email, but he said I gotta send this to DC litigation, see what they think.
Yeah.
There's so many people I've interviewed, I don't know.
That's the thing with all current writers. They always have to talk to PR or what.
I would say this: if Perch can get Jeff Thorne on, given some of the other people he's had on his streams and all that, I think I might be able to as well.
That'd be good. I'd love to hear what he said, because like his interviews for whoever did it for the Superman, I mean, that was awesome. Like he clearly has a love and a knowledge and a respect for comics and Superman, and I think that's what you want to see.
I again, here's fingers crossed. Like I said, I just hope my interviewing some comics gators does not torpedo it.
Yep.
But like I said, that's just been some stuff I've done here and there. But if he looks through all my work, he'll probably notice I praise a lot of people.
Yep. Well, and I think that he'll know that you're not here for what's it called? Glad handing. You like have actual questions and actual criticism.
Oh, yeah.
But you also are not interested in the bomb throwing that a lot of the YouTube community is into.
Oh, hell no. I want to actually ask legit questions. And that's one thing I made clear in my email to him. I said, I'm the type of person who, regardless of what I think of them personally, I give them their fair shake. regardless, period. Because I mean, heck, I did a video dedicated to Gail Simone, and I still remember how I got people bashing on me for saying, "How dare you?" And it's like, the woman's done good work, guys. Don't deny it.
Yeah, seriously. Like, I
hate retroactive bashing. Yeah. I hate it.
I don't like them now, so everything they've ever done sucks. That's dumb thinking.
That is beyond dumb thinking. Because again, you got to acknowledge that. I mean, I still remember how Gail, during that Superman Look Up in the Sky documentary, how she tore into 70s Lois, saying how Lois back in the 70s was such beyond a feminist icon. She was like, I am woman, hear me roar. But it was like, what does Superman see in her? I'm like, thank you, Gail. Tells me that you're not completely far gone.
Yeah, Gail's a very complicated person, and she's very talented. I haven't liked most of what she's done in the last 10 years, but she's still more than you can't just dismiss her. You have to think about what she does.
Her Wonder Woman Conan was probably the last best work I've seen from her.
That was a fun series. That was a fun little series.
Tells you that when she really is just having fun, doesn't have an agenda or anything, like a lot of writers, she can be great. Yeah.
And also her Catwoman and Tweety mashup.
That was hilarious.
That was so good.
It was. But anyway, and next we have Batman and Detective Comics. Yep.
I really hope that I can get this wraparound cover because it's so cool.
Oh, it does look good. Now, here's a question. Do you think that's Tim Fox between Punchline and Red Hood?
Oh, yeah, it's definitely Tim Fox.
That's what I thought.
Definitely.
And that's probably Tim as Robin next to Oracle.
Yes, because you've got Damian in his gray suit.
Yeah, which I gotta say, the fact of bringing that back that we haven't seen since early Morrison run.
You have Huntress, which I'm really excited about. I think you have one of the Peacemakers, maybe, like this robotic guy behind Grifter, so we'll have to find out what's going on with that.
I was wondering who that was.
I think it's probably like Peacemaker from Future State, but I don't know for sure.
Also, here's the one thing I want to ask. Ghost Hunter being a actual good guy and an ally, did that surprise you at all that they didn't have him be a villain?
It did surprise me, but in a good way, because I was worried he was going to be another David Kane or Hush. And
at first, they were going that way in the first couple appearances. You saw like, oh, great.
Right, exactly. So the fact that he's a friend of Bruce's and there's a real connection, even though he's clearly going to be a problem, like he's going to be an antagonist, but he's not a villain, and I like that because it gives him more depth to me.
Yep. Now, do you think if Clown Hunter is Red X, do you think he's going to be Ghostmaker's Robin?
That'd be really intriguing. I would be intrigued. I don't know for sure, but I would be intrigued.
All right. Now, of course, we have the backups from Joshua Williamson continuing on with Damian. I'm interested in that.
I think it's hilarious that we're on our third Greg Capullo imitator, because you have Greg Capullo, obviously, but then you have Victor Bogdanovic, who looks very much like...
Oh, yeah.
And now we have Gleb Melkinov.
Oh, yeah.
And he's another one who looks almost like Greg Capullo. He did a great...
I gotta say, though, was Victor... Yep, you're right. You're right, it was Victor. I kept noticing that was all new Superman and all that. It was just
Right.
But now, Mariko Tamaki on Detective. Do you think she'll be able to keep up with what she's done with Wonder Woman? And do you think the
I'm really nervous because, like, I've really liked her Wonder Woman, but
here's the thing, though: different editors going to be involved.
Right?
Do you think the editor? Do you think what's his name? The editor for Batman?
Abernathy.
Yeah. Do you think he's going to let her go wild and include her politics, or do you think he's going to keep her on a leash like Wonder Woman did?
Well, the initial arc sounds like it's going to be more like a classic detective type story.
But that's just the solicitations. That's all we know so far.
Right. So I don't know. Like, I am excited by the fact that we have Huntress and we have Penguin, and we have, again, it looks like a Peacemaker in this broken glass reflection, and of course we have the new mayor, Nakano. So
that Tomasi built up.
Right. Well, but that was originally Tamaki's idea from Detective 1027.
True, but you think, though, but the big question is, was that her doing, or was that her just referencing it, and then, everyone had that idea?
Well, I don't know actually because everything is so connected. I think it's really interesting how they have been building this since Detective 1027.
Yeah, and the one thing I really like though is that it hasn't been as connected since, well, the 2000s,
Right, right.
since RIP and everything.
Exactly.
Now, Batman, Superman. What do you think about the change of teams there?
I mean Ivan Rice is going to look great. Gene Yang is
Jing Lun Yang, yeah, he could be hit and miss.
yeah, he's really hit and miss for me. I always bring this up, but I'm still bitter about what he did for the Avatar comics because I did not think they were good, but a
Yeah,
lot of
but
people
how
like
much of it was all him, and how much of that was him trying to translate what the creators told him to do?
right. I mean, we don't really know. But
It's hard to say.
well, but even then, one of my things is there's this thing where he has a young character try to assassinate Zuko, and then Zuko's like, "Oh, I understand why you're angry," and he pardons her, and I'm like, "You do not attempt to assassinate a sitting head of state and survive. You
You're
just
right.
don't."
I agree. I agree. But at the same time, though, that does kind of fit Zuko. Like, he wouldn't be the type who would want to, especially once he's in the early days of being Fire Lord, not want to just be like,
But
I'm
that's
going
when
to.
you have to be as powerful as possible. You let an assassination attempt slide, and
No,
you
no.
are inviting more.
I'm not arguing that, but you also got to keep in mind the type of character Zuko is. The
I
last thing
just
he
think
would.
that he shouldn't have made an assassination attempt a plot point, and that I'm pretty sure that wasn't required. He could have had her be a protester. Like he
That's
didn't
very
have
true,
to have
Dave.
it go all the way to assassination and really stretch beyond
Also,
suspension
I
of
wasn't a
disbelief.
big fan of how he handled the stuff with Ursa and Ursa, the mom.
Yeah,
It kind of made her very unsympathetic.
yeah.
It was like, wow, I get what you're going for, but you dropped the ball. Was
But
it? Oh,
I will admit, I'm just not the biggest Batman Superman fan. Like, it's always been a little bit of a too wacky title for me. So
right.
I don't have a lot invested in it.
All right. Well, what about Ram V continuing his run on Catwoman?
I think that's great. I think that's a really good idea.
I've been liking what's been going on so far with Alleytown.
Yep. And I like the fact that we have this consistent creative team of Ram and Fernando Blanco, and you have Joel Jones continue on covers. I think that is cool, and I think he's building a nice crime story, which is a great way to use Catwoman.
Yep. Now, Flash. Probably one of the few books that's not a continuation of the Future State creative teams. Probably because the writer is even more known for being in Hollywood anyway. So, what do you think about that? How they're actually giving more emphasis to Wally?
I mean, I think this is what Flash fans have been.
Demanding.
Well, I feel like a large portion of Flash fans have been asking for this.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there must be Barry fans.
Oh,
Right?
there are. I still liked Barry under Joshua Williamson. Although I gotta admit, that speed metal issue kind of spelled out he preferred Wally this whole time. Did you ever get that feeling?
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of felt like he wanted to do Wally, but he was stuck with Barry. Not that he ruined Barry, but you could still tell there was a hint of he was still having Barry be number two.
Yeah. I don't know. It's tricky, and I kind of wish they would do a Justice League anthology. Like, what would they do? Justice League.
Extreme Justice? I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Uh,
I'm kidding.
World Heroes, maybe. I don't know. Something cool, similar to Urban Legends, where you could really rotate through. You could have extra flashes. You could have extra Wonder characters because they're giving us this sensational Wonder Woman comic, but
It's
I'm
gonna be a
pretty sure
digital
most of those
first.
are going to be out of continuity and they're not going to matter. Whereas Urban Legends is going to matter. It's going to be referenced,
Yeah.
I think, in other books. And I think that's what we need. And I think a Justice League anthology would be the place to do it because I don't know if Superman or Wonder Woman can sustain an ongoing anthology like that. But a Justice League probably could.
Yep. Next, we have Brian Michael Bendis failing upward as he's gone from Superman to Justice League.
Are
think
we going to call this the Bendis containment book?
probably, but I also say is, hey Bendis, work your new Avengers magic.
Hey, New Avengers was magic, though.
Oh no, it was. Well, for the longest time it was, but let's be honest, near the end.
Well, yes, near the end, most of
And
his
for all
stuff.
we know, we might get more. We might not get early New Avengers. We might just get later New Avengers.
Very true. But I mean, he still has it. He's his Jessica Jones was really good, and his Defenders was fine. So
That is that is true, but
I think the fact that we just have one book is a big positive.
the other problem is, given what he always does, he wants to always ground the characters, which he has shown with Avengers. He will ground them. I don't think the Justice League works while grounded.
Well, I mean, I liked it when Priest made him more grounded, so I think there's
True.
potential.
Well, no, but that was fine for a year arc.
Right.
You don't want that to be an ongoing. And the fact he's making Naomi going, pushing her in, of course he is. I'm sorry. I don't mind the character, but I feel she does not deserve Justice League status.
Wait, which one?
Naomi.
Oh.
She does not deserve justice.
Cool.
What?
I thought she was a really cool character.
I think she's a good character, but she doesn't deserve it. The only reason why is because he made her so OP'd that it's the only place to put her.
My worry is, how old is she?
16, 17-ish.
Yeah, that seems really young.
That's what I'm saying. She was fine in Young Justice, but again, he knew what he was doing when he created her. He created an uber powerful character of color that he knew people would be like saying, because when you really compare her, of all the other people of color, characters of color, especially females, she is the most powerful.
Yeah.
So he knew exactly what he was doing. He was filling that hole and basically putting her in a power level where she has to be on the league, whether people want it or not.
I don't know. I really like Naomi, and I like her.
Again, I'm not saying I hate her, but putting her on the league is not earned at all.
I'm not a Justice League person, so I'm kind of like, let him do it.
Yeah. Now, the other thing I'll say is there's rumors that even though it says Superman is leading, there's rumors that Green Arrow is going to lead purely because of how he was during Event Leviathan.
That doesn't seem like how it's going.
Again, that's just the rumors going on.
I am really excited to see Ollie and Dinah on the league, and
that's fine.
I hope that this is Hawk Woman, not Hawk Girl, but maybe it probably.
It says Hawk Girl, so
that's disappointing. I just fell in love with the Hawk people, but not. I'm still bitter at Hawk Girl because of how Snyder used her in Metal and made her Lady Blackhawk, and I'm just like, that's stupid.
True, but I don't think that got rid of the other Lady Blackhawk. I think
it didn't get rid of her, but it did mean that no one's interested in using her for a long time.
That's true, unless Gail could come back and do it, because you know she would in a heartbeat.
Well, I mean, she put a reference to her in that great Green Arrow story. In Last Stories, that was one of the big reasons I bought that anthology, because Gail did such a good job with the Arrow and Canary.
Yep. Now, remind me, where do you stand on Dick and Babs as a relationship?
I prefer it.
Oh, you do? Okay, you're one of those that do prefer it. So you're probably in favor with what Tom Taylor seems to be doing?
Yeah, I think that could be good.
I just want to ask, because you never know which Dick and Corey fans are out there.
I mean, I'm not against Dick and Corey.
I'm not against it either. I'm not against it either, but come on, so many Dick and Corey fans are so ravenous.
That's true.
With Linkara, for one thing, I gotta say, Linkara, for one, how really dismissive he is to Dick and Babs fans. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, you do know what I'm talking about, right? How he was so dismissive.
Yes.
So sorry, I thought I lost you. Now, and so yeah, I am looking forward to Tom Taylor. Tom Taylor, he has worked magic at. Oh, hello.
You there? Did you go away? Can you hear me?
Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hold on, I can't hear you for some reason. My went out.
Huh? I can hear you.
Okay, there we go. I don't know what the heck happened.
Weird. I was hearing you, but you couldn't hear me.
My audio for some reason decided to mute you, but
oh no.
Yep. I don't know why it did that, but it's sometimes this headset acts wonky. But anyway, like I said, Tom Taylor, he's done his best at DC compared to Marvel.
Um, I wasn't a fan of his Suicide Squad for the
Well,
reasons we talked
right,
about.
right, right. But well, most 9 times out of 10, he has scored it at DC.
I mean, he certainly made himself popular. I'll give
Yep.
him that.
And he's been great at doing other setting up other universes to work in.
Uh,
Injustice or Deceased.
yeah, I guess.
Although I gotta be honest, I'm not been a big fan of Year Zero, to be honest, for Injustice.
Year
It,
Zero just feels like torture porn.
it does, or it felt like, yeah, especially how they're killing off all the JSA members. It's like, what the heck?
Yeah, it just. Did we really need to see everybody die like that?
I know. How are they going to wrap it up? The only thing though, the most recent issue, at least made it clear, this is tying into the chaos and order, which is what they built up with in Injustice 2. So I will at least acknowledge that if it's going to involve chaos like that, then and this might set up something for Injustice 3, then bravo.
I will say this. I'm excited to see what they do with Nightwing and Batgirl.
Yep.
I think the idea of a new mayor with the last name Zuko is intriguing, and I really hope that it's Sonia Zuko.
I was about to say, I hope it's Sonya. Knowing them, it probably will be.
I hope so. I'm worried that's just going to be like random son named Zuko that no one cares about. But I like Sonia from Black Mirror and then Higgins Nightwing run. I thought that was a relationship that really could have been explored more.
Given their history, yeah.
Exactly. I think Bruno Redondo looks like he's going to have some really good art.
Mm-hmm. Now, one other thing I want to ask was during the last stories, how much do you think what's her name, Cecil Callisto? How do you say her last name?
Castellucci.
How much you want to bet that was more editorial, telling her put Dick and Babs together, given what she wrote with them in Batgirl 50?
At this point, I have no idea what Castellucci really wants because I know that editorial told her to do a bunch of things. I also know that she has some opinions that don't match what editorial told her to do. I think
especially with 50, right? Especially with 50, right?
Right, yeah. I mean, do you really think that she was the one who came up with let's put the new TV Batwoman in that comic?
No, oh hell no. That felt so shoehorned, but I felt a lot of the other political
stuff. You could literally
stuff.
delete those 2 pages from the comic and nothing would change.
But I do think the political stuff was all her.
Oh, yes.
And I don't think editorial liked that. I bet you she took advantage and this was the last issue. Like, what are they going to do? Fire me?
Well, I mean, Taylor has said that he's going to make politics a big part of his Nightwing run, so we'll have to wait and see what he does with that.
True. And I guess it all depends on how things go still with the current real world politics. I don't want to go any further with that. I just want to make that statement.
Yeah, I just hope that it kind of is more about the storytelling than like parallels to anything going on in real life.
Right. Now with Wonder Woman, where do you think about this? How you mentioned it before during Purchase Stream that this kind of is like her Batman RIP.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she's in Valhalla. I think it's clear that she's going to appear to die in death metal. And they're going to have like, I personally hope it's just like a 6-issue arc where there's in June we have the return of Wonder Woman. I think that'll be cool. If it's longer than that, I think fans will get a little frustrated.
Right. And now it all depends on how it plays up, of course. But yeah, I'm interested now. Sensational. Yeah, that's a digital first. Not going to be in continuity at all. We could just move on from
really disappointing because the Sensational comics featuring Wonder Woman from 2013, like it didn't.
They got cut short too, though, if I recall.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it went for a good like 5 trades, but like again, nobody really cared.
True. But Batman Catwoman number 4. What do you see about how Huntress is looking?
Skipping past the trades.
Yep.
Oh, we skipped Batman Black and White.
Oh, well, you already made your point about that before.
Well, actually, I wanted to highlight we have Carl Kerschel doing a follow-up sequel to Gotham Academy with Batman and Maps teaming up to
Oh,
solve
yeah,
a mystery.
Gotham Academy. Yeah.
That actually I'm really excited about because Carl Kerschel's been teasing that for a while on Twitter.
Right. That sounds cool.
So yeah, so Batman Black and White number 4 should be interesting.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was Batman Catwoman.
Batman Catwoman number 4.
I actually
I'm
like her
excited
design.
to see what he does with Helena. I mean, he's been playing with Helena for quite a while since Batman Annual number 2.
Now, I guess, given how things were hinted off to the first one, do you think she's full-on lesbian, or do you think she's bisexual?
I honestly hope that that it doesn't matter. I honestly,
I know.
People are already saying, I hope we meet her love interest. And I'm like, would we say the same thing if we're a female character and she's straight? Oh, I hope we meet her boyfriend. I don't think so. So I don't think we should care about meeting her girlfriend either. Like, we know she's dating a girl. That's great. I want to know what she's doing in terms of being a hero, how she became Huntress or Batwoman or whatever she is. I'm more interested in that than anything about what she's dating.
Right. Now, what do you think about what they were setting up already with Andrew Beaumont in the DC universe, and how they basically said Mask of the Phantasm is in continuity?
Well, Mask of the Phantasm is so weird to me because it feels like they took Year 2 and the Reaper and basically retitled it as Phantasm because the costume is so similar.
Oh yeah, and their method is so similar.
Right, exactly. So I'm kind of, especially because we did have a Reaper story in Detective Annual number 2.
Yep.
So like we know Reapers are around. Phantasm being around just feels a little similar to me.
If it wasn't for Andrea Beaumont, though, it probably would be superfluous.
Like, I don't mind it, but it just feels a little duplicated.
That's true. Who do you think the father of her kid is? I hope it's not Joker.
I mean, the kid's dead. Does it really matter?
True. Speak Up with Joker. Batman White Knight presents Harley Quinn. Number 6, the final issue. Yep.
Harley gets a new black and white costume.
Yep, but what have you thought about so far with what they've been showing of Jack's origins? How it's been very different compared to other versions.
Jack's?
You know, Jack Napier, you know, his
Oh, the Joker, right. I always forget. I mean, I still think that Harley and Joker's relationship is one of the strongest things that Murphy has written in his series. And I think Collins has done a really good job of carrying that further.
Yep. Isn't that his wife?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to see how this ends.
I love Mateo Scalera's art. Like,
oh, yeah. It matches Murphy, and yet it's its own thing.
Yes, exactly. And look at this cover that he did with the new cover with her in the rain. That's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Like, he is... Like, I hope that whoever they get to be there, another... Like, if Scalera just stays on White Knight and does, like, backups or alternating miniseries with Murphy, I think that's amazing.
Yep, agreed. Now, Batman vs. Ra's al Ghul number 5. The fact that we're finally going back to this.
Who actually cares? Like, I'm serious. Who actually wants this?
Just for completion.
Other than Neil Adams.
I would say, just for completion's sake, I do. Just for completion's sake, because I did buy those because I bought all the other Neil.
Enjoying it, did it matter?
I just want to know what the heck's going on.
Yeah, I feel like after 4 issues, you really should know what's going on.
I agree. Oh, look at what happened with Odyssey. You didn't know what was going on until the last issue.
Yep. Yeah.
Skipping the dreaming because I'm not.
Basically Vertigo.
Yeah, skipping the Green Lantern season 2, number 12, or AKA the reason why we're not getting Jeff Thorne's Green Lantern yet.
I still don't understand. What is Morrison doing?
I think he's trying to play off of stuff he set up within Multiversity.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like he's been doing. That's what he's been playing up lately, is how it's playing off and stuff with the multiverse.
Do you think this will actually matter, though?
Who knows?
Like, do you think anyone will refer to this 20?
I don't think so.
25?
I think that it's just meant to be his own little story, and just getting it out of the way. And they're just, I think they decided, obviously he left some loose ends. Let's let him wrap it up. You know.
Yeah.
Now Joker, Harley Criminal Sandy. What have you saw of that book?
I've only read a couple issues. I'm not into the true crime, Criminal Minds style stuff.
I've been enjoying it all the way through, to be honest. Especially how it kind of throws you for curveballs every step of the way. You're like, wait, is this some other killer? Is it Joker doing it? What's going on? And now it's been made very clear it is still Joker doing all this stuff to mess and break Harley.
I do think the art's really, really beautiful.
Especially after they dropped Mike Mayhew. Because good God, that artwork was so uncanny valley.
I don't know. I kind of liked it.
I think sometimes some of his artwork can be very good. Other times, when it looks way too photorealistic, it's just like, did you trace photos?
I do think that it was kind of a mistake to make it so long and then have so many delays. I mean,
it didn't make it bi-monthly.
Yeah, I don't think they should. I know they're in a rock and a hard place because people prefer to have the original artists, and
at least they changed it early enough. At least.
Well, but it still had so many delays. Like, this is really long after the first issue.
Yeah. Well, I think my guess is I think it was Mayhew was getting too long, and so they had to replace him. But someone else was close enough. But that person made it clear it would work on a bi-monthly schedule. Because I noticed after they changed it, it did go bi-monthly. So I don't think it's been full-on delayed.
Well, the first issue was October 2019, and so that's 12 months plus November, December, January, February, March, 17 months for 8 issues. I don't think that is really worth it.
Agreed. And don't forget to go to the out of the secret files.
Right.
So 9 issues.
Yeah.
Now,
the secret files wasn't by the writer, but it wasn't by the same team.
Right. Now, skipping Looney Tunes and Mad Magazine, Man-Bat. What do you think about this?
I wasn't impressed by Dave Wielgos' short stories that he did. Did the first issue come out?
Not yet. It comes out in I think it comes out in either January or February.
Okay. Well, it looks clearly like they're doing a very dark horror type take, and that could be fine. I mean, Man Bat hasn't had a really good story for a while.
I hate to say, you know what the one Man-Bat story, besides John Layman's run during Detective, the one Man-Bat...
one of those revamps of his origin that I don't think was very good.
Right, but I was going to say was, the one Man-Bat story that always sticks out in my mind is that Elseworlds one.
Which one?
There was that 3 prestige issue one where it was Batman, he meets up with these other Man-Bat creatures. It was basically like a story that was meant to be in continuity, but because it was so far out there, they decided let's make it an Elseworld.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking more of the Chris Yost story in Streets of Gotham where Huntress had to fight Man-Bat.
Oh, yeah, that one was good too.
I thought that was good.
Streets of Gotham, what they did with Mr. Zsasz was brilliant. Disturbing, but brilliant.
Yeah, it was really good.
And I loved Abuse. I love that character.
I really like the character. I think he needs a new name.
Well, yeah, he does. But it was such a kid name, let's be honest.
Yeah. It's not... I think there's a reason they haven't brought him back, and I think that his name's a big part of it.
Well, yeah. Now, other history of the DC Universe, after that first issue, it's clear that John really wants to take these characters and make them stereotypes, or what he feels fits real-world version of the character, but at the expense of any characterization they have. I mean, look what he did with Black Lightning. Like, you're looking like, okay, that does sound like what a black man might thought of back then, but that's not what Black Lightning would have thought back then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And did you read that first issue?
I skimmed it. I thought the art was really pretty, but it's so text dense that it was a little difficult to read.
Trust me,
And
with the writing, it was clear he just threw out all of his characterization aside. I'm going to make him a real black man.
I'm kind of intrigued about this Katana one because I feel like Katana has so many generic stories that this could be
This could
uh,
be, but it all
really
depends.
interesting.
But it depends again. Does he throw out her characterization? Just go with stereotypical.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the thing is I feel like I read the Katana miniseries for like Suicide Squad Most Wanted, and that was super boring.
Right.
And so I'm hoping that he writes at least something interesting, even if it's a bit of a disconnect.
Right. Because I mean, I still say the fact that again with Black Lightning, he had it be where Jefferson is thinking, "Oh, Superman's just doing all this stuff for a Nobel Peace Prize." I'm like, really? You think Jefferson thought that about Superman? Next is Rorschach. What have you been thinking about that so far?
Well, I'm biased because I really love Jorge Fornes, and I think that Fornes is doing a great job on art.
Artwork is great, but what about the story?
I think it's ambitious. I think it's clever. I haven't watched the show, so I understand that like it's supposed to be connecting to the show, but I don't feel like I need to watch the show. Everything is making sense so far. I don't think that the attempt to make a left-wing Steve Ditko works.
No,
because it doesn't read as authentically radicalized.
it doesn't. It sounds a bit what one thinks a radicalization would be.
Right. Now, number 3 just came out, right?
I think so. I think 4 comes out soon.
Did you read number 3? Where
No,
was
I
the
have not.
training of the girl?
Oh, yes.
So I thought that was really well done. I like the idea that they, played on the idea of the squid, like really lean into Alan Moore's ending and what realistically would happen with some people who are prone to conspiracy theories, because it literally is a conspiracy. And there really is a squid that destroyed so many cities. So people creating these sort of death cults make sense. Like that was clever.
Right.
The one thing I was a little
put off.
It kind of tickled my brain a little bit. It felt so much like Hit Girl, like so much.
Oh gosh, yes. And yet, Hit Girl has done better. I hate to say.
I don't know about better. This was certainly more restrained. Like Miller's Hit Girl is just ridiculous.
Let me ask: have you been reading any of those kick-ass Hit Girl books?
I've only read the first one. I haven't even read the second one.
Well, at least in that one, Hit Girl finally brings up Dave and says, "You took that from Dave." And of course, what does Kick-Ass say? "Who's Dave?" To which I'm like, "Then that's the reason why I haven't been reading this book."
Yeah,
because I do not like that they don't even reference.
Yeah. I don't read a lot of Miller just because he goes for shock and nastiness.
He's gotten better about it. He's gotten better about it.
Oh, yeah?
Well, then.
Well, I don't know. I feel like the what's it called? The Kick-Ass series hasn't really been as it hasn't gotten much buzz because no one's making a Kick-Ass 3.
True. Very true.
But anyway, yeah, I'm still intrigued by Rorschach, but it's not my like top thing.
Right. But now with Strange Adventures, have you been keeping up with that?
Oh yeah, I'm collecting that one.
What have you been thinking? Here's what I'm guessing. I think Alana is kind of manipulating things.
Well, that we're definitely supposed to think that. But this last did you read
that
last issue?
That did kind of throw a wrench into things, yeah.
I was very intrigued by that because, you find out that Adam did kill that dude.
But here's what I think. I think there's this big lie about the Pikes, and I think they did such a good job on Adam that he has become that delusional about it.
Right.
That's my guess. I think that he has become. They did such a good job to make him think that this is real that he really believes it, and now she's realizing, crud.
Yeah. I'm
Now,
very
do you
intrigued.
think their daughter's dead, or do you think she's been taken?
I think Adam tried to hide her, but I think that there's a chance that she's actually under Alana's father's control.
And that probably. Oh, you mean what's his name? Sadis or Sadis or something like that. Something like that.
The ruler of Ran, you know.
Yep. You know, I can say there's only been 2 books I've ever read. One was that 80s story that made it darker and edgier. Then it was the one that led into Infinite Crisis, a Planet Heist.
Yeah.
Those are the only real ones I've ever read. But yeah. Now skipping Sweet Tooth because I don't usually read that. Truth and Justice.
Well, I did want to mention something about Strange Adventures because, unfortunately, it says that
it's gone bi-monthly.
On a bi-monthly schedule. Which
yeah,
I'm real frustrated with that.
At least it's only 3 more issues after this one.
Yeah, but still, that means we're taking it all the way to March, May, July. Like, it'll be August before it's done, and I think that's really disappointing.
That is, but again, at least it's happening later in the book and not, Now, one thing I gotta say from what I just scrolled down to Truth and Justice, they said it was supposed to be a Vixen book, but now it's not.
Yeah, it says it's an anthology series, and at first, I thought this was going to be the Superman anthology series that I really wanted.
Yep, but then it opened was Vixen.
Yeah.
And people were saying it was meant to be for Vixen, and now Vixen's not showing up.
It's really weird. I don't understand what they're doing with it.
Me neither. Scrolling down all the way past some of the trades, I mean, was that it, or is there?
That might be the last one.
Yep, that is the last one. So yeah, overall though, and now obviously the books we haven't seen, like Green Lantern and all that, I'm pretty
sure we're going to get an Aquaman book, and I think there's at least 1 or 2 more Batman titles that I think will either feature a Batgirl's backup or be a Batgirl's title.
Right. Now, I gotta say, the fact people keep on saying, Kelly Sue kind of killed off Aquaman, it got canceled. Like, it's not canceled, it's delayed, guys.
And that's why I think they really should have announced, their plans for the next 3 months instead of just 1 month.
Agreed. But it does feel like, again, they're just letting all this happen. I think because they probably feel like a lot of these people are just, like Ethan and the others, they're not as influential as they was a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Which, let's be honest, they've kind of cried wolf way too many times.
Well, yes. If your entire brand is on crying wolf, then you're going to keep doing it.
Which they have, let's be honest. That's usually what they've been doing.
Yep.
But overall, though, like I said, I am looking forward to a lot of this.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm a bit stung by the fact that we don't have any word on what's happening with the Batgirls, because I feel like they spent a lot of time building them up. They've given them a backup in the Batman title, and they had the story in the Joker War Zone, and then we have no idea what's happening.
Right.
And Tehillim has a good comment about, we want to know what Tomasi, Jurgens, and Venditti are going to be doing, and we know they're all doing something. So
yeah, now,
I think that's another thing.
Generations. How do you think that's going to be dealt with going forward after they're done?
I think there's a chance that if Venditti's on JSA, it could lead into that. I mean, there's a perfect way to lead into that.
Right.
I don't know what they're doing with Jurgens. I mean, Jurgens could maybe finally be doing a blue and gold, because you have Booster and Blue Beetle on the cover of the Infinite Frontier, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, who knows?
DC knows, and they're being dumb and not telling us.
Definitely. Hey, so, but again, with everything else going on, though, like, do you think though this is still going to be a very good kicking off point? I mean, it's
I
not.
think so.
It's not a stumble like some people are claiming. I don't think it's a stumble. I think. Oh, sorry, let me rephrase that. It's a stumble. It's not a fall on their face.
Right. I don't think it's a faceplant. I don't think it's a fall. I think they've got a lot of good stuff. I think that the real stumble is really in marketing.
Right.
I'm with you, Tehillim. DC Comics should let the reader see what is coming in the next 6 months, not 3 months. Yep.
Oh, I agree. Sorry, I just saw that popped up right now. I don't have the video loaded up, so I'm just looking what's here in the on the StreamYard page. So that takes a while for it to catch up.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, but again, overall though, at least it does tell us that they do have a plan of sorts.
Yeah.
Which is a lot better than I could say for Marvel. Let's be honest, Marvel is just let's keep throwing stuff at the wall. On a different note, where do you stand on? Do you ever keep sticking around with other Warner Brothers products? Do you ever look at stuff from say, was Ruby at Rooster Teeth?
I've only watched the first. I can't remember if I finished the first season. I thought it was cute, but I don't know. I heard a lot of sad stuff about what happened in the future, and it wasn't really getting into that.
Yeah. Just because they do own it, and Warner Brothers does own it technically.
Yeah.
And yeah, who knows? They might ever bring back the comic. I doubt it, given how the last one went, but who knows?
Yeah.
But is there any book you want them to do, but not ones they've announced, but we haven't seen show up? I'm talking about, is there any book you would like to see them just take a time to do that you haven't mentioned already?
That I haven't mentioned already.
Yeah.
I would really like them to do something like a Robins anthology. Well, not anthology, a Robins book where it really focuses on the relationship between the Robins. But I think Urban Legends could give us some of that.
Right.
I mean, a lot of the stuff is I'd like to see like Sacha Bordeaux used again. I think she's really cool.
They hinted off to her, didn't they?
I mean, she's still around because Rucka brought her back in his Wonder Woman run. But
that's what I thought. Yeah. No. I think she also came back during during the Lois Lane.
To be fair, I only read about 4 issues of Lois Lane because I got annoyed with it.
Well, the only thing I will say I liked about that whole thing is that finally acknowledged the stuff was Question.
Right. No, I liked the Question stuff. I just got annoyed with the
politics.
Lois. Yeah, the politics, and specifically the
border stuff.
Well, the border stuff was just lazy and predictable. But
I say, Rucka, this is the same man who did a great run of Adventures of Superman back in around the time of Infinite Crisis.
Yeah,
this felt like a different guy altogether.
I mean, there's a reason he got off Twitter. He knows that is bad for him, but he sometimes can't help himself.
Right. I mean, did you ever notice? And did you notice that?
I mean, I'm in Rucka's server, so I kind of watch what he does.
He still shows politics.
Sometimes, like he does. He's always been a very political person. But he's also had a sort of willingness to really approach the craft of storytelling separately from politics in some ways.
But not in Lois Lane's case.
But yeah, the Lois Lane stuff just felt clunky. Like there was no nuance or subtlety.
He's shown he can write a good Lois. Here he decided, I'm going to have Lois be as political as possible and ever be no different than any of the typical news journalists out there today, which is not a good thing. She should have been like, she would stick to traditional journalism, not current journalism.
Yeah, I was very, very irritated that he had her do the Jim Acosta thing, because I think
Lois would never do it. Lois would never do that.
Right, that's all about the person. Is like, I really don't like the fact that he had her imitating the grandstanding and personal aggrandizement tactics.
Especially when you take into account that Costa does that to sell books. You don't want Lois to come off like she's trying to sell a book.
Right. I just,
because I think
I think
Rucka seems to be one of those who thinks, look at this great journalism that Acosta's doing, and he refuses to look at it as anything but grandstanding for publicity. I think that's why. I think he felt that was legitimate journalism, so he went with it and didn't look at any negatives.
Yeah.
That's what I think personally. But yeah, overall, I mean, like I said, I'm just looking over to, what's coming forward. And if anything else, they now have an opportunity to, if things aren't going well, you could just, I won't say brush it aside, but you can try to find some multiversal way of fixing it. I hope they don't make it a cop out.
Leaves it in a place where we can be like, this is how it goes. Everything is going. You can use it all. You don't have to. And then people just use it to tell the best stories they can. And I really think that the way Morrison and King approach Batman, where everything is part of it, you don't have to have everything fitting in like a perfect timeline, but you can reference those things and they matter to the characters. And
you make jokes about it too.
Right. Like, I want that kind of richness rather than what happened in the New 52, where Snyder basically just rewrote the entire history and everything became about Snyder's Batman.
To be fair, except for making it all about Snyder's Batman, he was told to rewrite it. To be fair,
he was the best-selling writer. If he didn't want to do it, he could have said no.
Well, fair enough. Well, he only got that way as it went on. He wasn't that way at the get-go.
Right, but by the time he did zero year, he could have said no.
He could have, but I think by that point he decided, I have this opportunity to do it. I have a lot of stories to build up with this. I'm going to do it. And I didn't mind 0 Year. I thought that was a good story.
I really hate 0 Year.
You do? Oh.
Well, partly because I feel like Year One is such, it's not perfect, but it is such a powerful and timeless tale that it didn't need to be redone. You could have done a Bruce training story, or you could have done a Long Halloween style story. You didn't have to make it the Batman origin. And compared to Year One, 0 Year just isn't as good.
Oh, hell no. I will agree with that one, but that's why I don't judge it to Year One. Now, can I ask you this? Where do you stand about, I gotta ask you, since you're a Batman fan, where do you stand on Year Two?
I like Year Two.
I do too, but do you think it was done like a lot of people? I've heard a lot of people say it wasn't meant to be a Year Two. It just became that way because of where it fit in the timeline.
I would disagree a bit because there's that image with the gun, and like they deliberately address things that an early Batman would have to address, and it doesn't feel like just another story. Like, there's specific questions raised and specific things that are recontextualized from the 1940s that I think were deliberate to allow this Batman to face those issues again, but in the context of the new continuity.
Right. I was going to say, poor Joe Chill. Can the guy catch a break with how many times he's been killed off, brought back, killed off again, brought back, still alive, stated he died in the past. Oh, he didn't die in the past. I am so confused now. I remember Morrison did something with it. Jeff Johns just did something currently. Mike Barron did that. It's been done so many times, but it's like, what is his status?
Well, and then there was the whole thing in the early 2000s where Jeff Loeb said it wasn't Joe Chill.
Well, to be fair, if you actually read the original issues or the reprinted trade, that was made clear that that was done intentionally as a red herring.
It lasted quite a while, and it went all the way through the Bruce Wayne murderer stuff.
Oh, sorry. I'm thinking about Superman Batman.
Yeah, but
where it implied that it was Metallo who killed him.
Yeah, but it was a big thing all the way through Bruce Wayne Murderer and Fugitive, and so it was a really weird status in continuity.
But that aside, I'm talking about in general with Joe Chill. It's like you remember when Morrison did, right? Where it had to be he did his own version of, you're the one who created Batman, but he had to beat a Jojo, became a higher mob boss or something. It's like, what? Ugh. I just hope what Jeff Johns did finally keeps him gone for a while.
It would be nice.
Which, I'll be honest, I enjoyed Three Jokers for the most part.
No, I didn't hate Three Jokers, but I think that
it was him trying to ape more again.
I didn't think it was worth 2 years of Jason Fabok's career.
And then you got who knows how much longer for him working on this follow-up.
Yeah.
But I think overall, though, it was some of the best artwork of this year. And that's including Gary Frank on Doomsday Clock.
Yeah.
Yeah, but with I gotta say, I will put all Three Jokers over the ending of Doomsday Clock, which says a lot. But I love the end of Doomsday Clock. I mean, what did you think of it? Like, do you wish we could have gotten that sooner and not have it be as late as it was? Or do you think it would have as much more of an impact? Or do you think it still would have not been much of an impact?
If that is the title that we would have gotten anyway,
yeah,
I think it still wouldn't have had an impact. If, as I think is likely, he would have written something different if he'd been able to get it out on time.
Yeah.
Maybe. But I mean, if he was just going to have him do this thing where he saves Dr. Manhattan, that doesn't have any effect on anything else.
Right?
Are you still there?
I'm right here. Sorry. This thing is really acting up on me, the controller on my headphones. It has that little, you can change the volume, but if you hit the button at the same time, it mutes you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. And I got one of those people who say Doomsday Clock sucks, Marvel ruined comics and movies. Alexander, we don't need you here if you're going to be like that.
I mean, that certainly is a take.
That is a take.
There's really a conversation you can have there.
If it's who I think it is, this guy comes around and does that stuff.
Ah, yes.
There's a person, I've had to deal with this one person, Tristan's in Nerdette's comment form, where they, oh, geez, see what I mean?
Yep. That's not worthwhile.
Yeah, but where they say, I remember this one person, this could be that same person saying, Doomsday Clock sucks, Watchmen the TV show was gold.
That's certainly a take.
That is certainly a take, but you know they're just saying that just to piss people off. And hey, Alexander, I will give you a little bit of leeway, but if you keep it up, I'm going to kick you out. So, but yeah, again, I mean, overall, I do think DC has gotten a better handle of things, and I think Marvel is going to keep scrambling even after King in Black. Okay, Alexander, I'll bite. Why did it make you hate superheroes? Oh, never mind. They're leaving.
Never mind.
Jeez, that's a take right there. Okay, when I see trolls like that, how? How does it make them hate superheroes? What about Doomsday Clock would make you hate superheroes? I cannot think of anything except for a troll saying that. Because I'm also seeing someone saying, I hated Doomsday Clock because it made superheroes positive. I like dark and dreary. I hate good, light, softer stories. It's like, who really is like that? Who really is like that when they're saying, I hate well-intentioned superheroes? I want it to be dark and hateful. I don't get that. And that sounds like troll bait, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because I can never think of anyone who literally feels that way about things. But again, what do you think about with Marvel? Do you think DC has it over Marvel as far as a plan?
Marvel, I just
Oh,
don't know because
sorry. Alexander said Doomsday God is superhero reconstruction, but Watchmen superhero deconstruction. That's the point.
that is true. I don't know how much more you can say than that.
But that was the point because it's basically what people have said for a long time. People took the wrong messages from Watchmen and started just feeling we should deconstruct it like that. And yet, basically, the whole point was Jeff Johns trying to go with that. A lot of problems can tie back to. Oh, they're leaving now, but I'm still going to say this. A lot of problems can tie back to Watchmen, unfortunately. So this was a way of trying to say, no, let's take Watchmen and rebuild it back up so we can finally put this to rest once and for all. Especially when how many New 52s were story titles were being made to try and ape Watchmen. Okay, get out of
here. Okay. That's okay. So
I'm sorry. Yeah, get out of here.
So I have a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
I probably have to leave in a few minutes, but
right.
Quick question. Of the new Star Wars projects, what are you excited about?
Book of Fett. With a bit of Ahsoka.
And what about those are exciting to you?
Well, Book of Fett, I love what's been done with Boba Fett currently. I love that. That was so good. I gotta say, though, it was kind of funny the fact they brought back Bib Photona just to kill him off. At the very end of the recent episode of Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Yeah, that surprised me, and Ahsoka, I loved how Rosario Dawson handled it. I'm curious. And if you believe those rumors that certain people are saying, this could be the series where they try to undo the sequel trilogy.
I really don't think they're going to do that.
You don't? You don't think they're going to do that?
So here's what I think is going to happen with the sequels. I think they're going to
never get there.
I think they're going to stay away from directly referencing most of that for a couple years, and then they'll try introducing small pieces of it. And if people get mad about it, they'll probably go back to not talking about it.
Yeah, but the fact, let's be honest, though, the fact that Luke's appearance here has been tainted still because people are saying it's still going to lead to this eventually. That's not a good thing.
I 100% agree with that. I'm just like, it's like Luke and Han. Like Leia is not really tainted, but Luke and Han, you're just like,
yeah, there's no way. I want
to know more about how you got to be such deadbeat crap.
That's why, and I think they know that. I do think Filoni and Favreau know that. I think so. That's why I think they might tweak or try and fix what they can of Last Jedi as much as they can, if not try to ignore it. That's what I personally think, and that's why I think they wouldn't need to, because I'm pretty sure they're probably hearing people say this. Now I guess yes. Where do you stand on the rumor that Disney is giving Gina Carano a ultimatum of apologize to the new Star Wars fanboys, stop what you're doing, and otherwise you won't get your spinoff? Do you think there's truth to that, or do you think that's a load of hooey?
Well, I am disappointed that Kennedy's still in charge.
From what I've heard, it's in name only, from what I've heard.
Yeah. But I will say that the pieces I'm most excited about are Rangers of the New Republic.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that it has, Cara Dune, so we get like that connection. I think that would be cool. She doesn't have to be like the main character, but I love troopers, like the trooper class story in the Old Republic's video game. Amazing. Mm-hmm. It's so cool. Yeah. I would love a TV series that feels like that trooper storyline.
Oh, I guess. What do you think about the Dark Troopers being used?
Oh, I thought that was cool.
I want Kyle.
I don't hate Kyle, but I also don't have a big attachment to him.
I do. I grew up with those games.
Yeah.
Like, come on. He's one of the most badass badass Jedis out there to the point where they were going to kill him off in the novels. But once they found out how much of a mimetic badass he was and that fans would have riot, they backed off.
I'm also excited about The Acolyte, which is about the High Republic, because I think that one of my biggest complaints about the High Republic that's starting in January is that it's just books and comics. And so,
oh yeah, even though they made it seem like it was
just books and comics when it's clear that only the TV and movies. But if they connect the books and comics to this TV show, I think that's a great idea. And then maybe you can have a video game. So you have TV, video game, books, and comics. That's a true little micro universe within Star Wars that people can get invested in.
Yep, unfortunately, I am still weary given how if Favreau and Filoni are too busy with Mandalorian and the other stuff, the other people that Kennedy put in charge, who have shown they're going to continue her way of things, has me worried.
As I said, I'm not happy that that Kennedy's still there.
Yeah, because that's the
last thing. The last thing that I am excited about, of course, is the Rogue Squadron movie, because I love those X-Wing games and books and comics.
And it's Patty Jenkins.
And Patty Jenkins has proved that she can do a pretty solid story.
Now there's rumors that Rian Johnson's going to be writing it.
I mean, Rian Johnson can't. I mean, I didn't hate Knives Out, and
but if it's going to be,
I really love Brick. Like, Brick is one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, but I say keep him away from Star Wars. I'm sorry, keep it.
I think that it would be really dumb to have him write it, because he's shown no affinity for really understanding the military side of Star Wars or appreciating.
Oh hell no!
Like the way he treated Poe, and like people think like that admiral was treated really badly in terms of
yeah, because you don't
badly written.
You don't keep a secret from your loose cannon when it's so obvious he's going to do something stupid. You pull him aside.
There's nothing gained from keeping the secret. Like what?
The only reason why it was there was he's a man. That was it.
Right. It was good. Just bad writing.
And you can say, it's like they say, oh, it's because he did something stupid. That's all the more reason why you pull him aside and say, look, you at least shown you could be trustworthy to keep a secret, which he has.
Well, and also writing Poe so he was stupid in the first assault was another just dumb thing. Like it doesn't.
Oh, I know, because he never showed any signs of being that brash.
Right. It's just. I just feel like the whole thing was very badly written.
I'm sorry, the slowest car chase in space ever on film.
Yes. Well, we know it's not going to happen for 2 hours because that's how long the movie is.
It's like, wow, that was so slow. But yeah, overall, again, I think there's hope. It's a very dim hope. You know what I mean? I think that one meme of LucasArts, or Disney, Lucasfilms, and Mandalorian, with a big train, Star Wars is the train, and you have this little train for Mandalorian pulling it, is very apt.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see how it goes, but...
Yeah. But until then, yeah. So, well, I think it is a good time to wrap things up, man.
Yeah, we had a nice 2-hour chat. Got through all the solicits.
Yep. And, talked a little bit more about other stuff. So, is there anything else you're reading or you recommend other people look at?
I mean, I'm doing a little P.G. Woodhouse reading. I read Leave It to Smith, which is spelled with a P, but the P is silent. And that's a really funny little romp.
I just read Primer. I have to agree with Perch.
Oh, yeah.
It is so good. It is so damn good.
I need to check that out.
It is so original. It is so original and fresh. And the characters
I hear that they're talking about a sequel, and they need to do that kind of thing.
And funny thing though, it's set. But the thing is though, it is set in the DC universe.
Oh,
at
really?
least. Well, because you have a point where they talk about the Knights versus the Metros.
Okay.
So where else would you be talking about with that, right?
That's a clever. I love that. That's such a cute homage.
But the girl her powers are unique. Her limitation makes sense. The writing is so good. Never once did it I am woman hear me roar.
Yeah, and the writers are so good. Like, did you see they were going to send him a signed copy for his daughter. That's great.
Oh, that is so awesome. And the artwork is so
It
phenomenal.
looks gorgeous.
It is
And
beyond
the idea of like a graphic novel where you have an art themed power, like that's just so smart.
And again, I like how they have this limitation that actually comes into play.
Good writing. It'll get you.
Yep. Now, there's a few little hiccups here and there, but it's easy to gloss over because it's for young adults.
Yeah.
But I'll give you one little spoiler because it's really inconsequential. You have these two scientists that created the paint, and you have this one, soldier thinking they took it, caused them to have a car crash. They're still alive, but he's saying, "You're going to tell me what happened to it, and I better like what I hear." Next thing we know, we see him talking with the leader, and then we see on the screen the two scientists, deceased. I'm like, oh shit! I had to go back. I'm like, wait, are they still alive? They were still alive. Oh shit!
Things got serious.
I know, but it was like right in between. There was a bit of a gap, but when you find out, you're like, he killed them! Oh god, he killed them! That makes you hate the guy, but it's like, I mean, again, that's a bit of a spoiler, but it's not a major one compared to everything else. But it was still like one of those, shit! And I gotta say, some of the young adult graphic novels, depending on what they do, I know the ones that actually have a straight-on color palette, coloring system, seem to end up a lot better than the ones that kind of get fancy with their coloring.
Yeah.
For some reason, the ones that get fancier with their coloring are usually the ones that are a bit more woke in their writing. I don't know why that is. Like Harley Quinn, Broken Glass. Gah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, and I'll let you go now, man, and I'll talk to you later. I gotta get going myself.
All right. Well, thanks for having me.
Yep. Here's the next time we're on together, so see you then.
See ya. Have a good night.
Yep. See you guys.